Okay, let's dive in. We're looking at a source called Men, Missions, and Purpose.
Yeah.
And well, right off the bat, it presents a view that um, really pushes back against the common story we hear about men's struggles today.
It's interesting how direct it is, isn't it? It goes straight at the idea that for maybe a lot of men, it's not really clinical depression they're dealing with.
Exactly. It suggests something else is going on. Not necessarily poor mental health in that clinical sense, but um, more like being unchallenged,
Yeah.
adrift.
Yeah, kind of stuck in a comfort zone, maybe too comfortable without any real direction. That's a pretty strong way to reframe it.
It is. And so following from that idea,
The source then argues that, okay, if that's the root problem, then the usual advice of, you know, therapy, journaling, talking a lot about feelings,
all right, those things, which are definitely useful sometimes.
they might not be enough for this specific issue. Because, well, the source claims the fundamental problem isn't just internal.
Yeah, it's not knocking those tools completely, but it's saying, look, if the problem is feeling unchallenged, lacking that external push.
Then just looking inward or talking might not give you what you actually need, you know? It sees that internal focus without external action as maybe insufficient for this kind of struggle.
Which raises the obvious question then, doesn't it, if that's not the main answer here?
What is? What does this source actually propose?
And this is really the core of it. The source argues that for this feeling, this directionlessness,
Mhm.
you don't primarily need healing, you need a mission.
A mission, not just like a vague goal, something bigger.
Yeah, something all-consuming, something to
Yeah.
genuinely fight for, a real reason to get up, a hard target to chase with focus.
And this mission, the way the source describes it, it's not just some nice idea. It's this like powerful external driver. It's the thing that forces you to get disciplined. It kind of naturally pushes aside the excuses and the distractions.
Because those things get in the way of the mission, right?
Exactly. They impede the pursuit.
And here's where it gets really interesting, I think. It talks about confidence.
Ah, yeah, the confidence part.
It argues that real, solid confidence doesn't come from people telling you you're great or, affirmations.
No, this perspective says confidence comes from proving it to yourself through action.
Through the hard stuff, the consistent effort that the mission demands, you
Yeah.
build the proof by, well, struggling towards something meaningful.
And it draws this pretty stark contrast with the past, looking back historically.
Right. It suggests that, the strong figures we read about, they weren't just sitting around focusing only on, like, internal work in a vacuum.
No, they were out there doing things, building stuff, starting companies, fighting for things. That external struggle, that pain with a purpose, as the source might put it, that's what gave them clarity and made them resilient.
And then it asks us to compare that to, well, maybe a lot of modern life.
Yeah, the source sort of suggests we've traded ambition for comfort, drive for, like, quick dopamine hits.
From scrolling, easy entertainment, that kind of thing.
Mm.
And it claims this leaves people feeling, well, empty, directionless.
It makes this really bold claim, doesn't it? That you weren't really made to just cope or stay comfortable. You were made to strive, to build, to overcome challenges.
And so according to this view, every day, without that kind of driving mission, it's like you're fighting yourself, your own potential, quietly.
Yeah, and the fix isn't necessarily talking it out on a couch, but finding and embracing that pain with a purpose through getting out there and doing.
So, okay, bringing this right back to you, the listener. The source essentially hammers this home at the end, finding that mission, committing to it, that's presented as the absolute key if you're feeling stuck or unchallenged.
It circles back to say that's what builds real discipline, focus, helps you ignore distractions naturally,
Yeah.
and builds that solid confidence that only comes from, actual achievement in the world.
It keeps drawing that line between historical figures who built and fought and what it sees as a modern slide into easy comfort and just consuming things.
And it finishes by throwing a question directly at you, the listener. It's pretty blunt.
Yeah, no messing around. Straight from the source. What the hell are you building?
Because from this particular challenging viewpoint, once you have an answer to that, once that mission is clear and compelling, life stops being something you just kind of get through.
Right. It becomes something you can actively shape, something you can dominate.
Find it, fuel it. That's the message. Don't waste time looking back. That's the unfiltered takeaway from this piece.